It is a location made famous by the pre-tour trial rides of Lance Armstrong, but there is a darker, more savage side to the Col de la Madone, and that is the off-road route down to Menton. So today, I'm joined by GCN's Dan Lloyd to take on that very challenge.
And I'm looking forward to it. I'm obviously going to stick to the road whilst you head off-road.
But today, Dan, seeing as you carved me up on the hill climb challenge, bloody hell. Holy, are you actually cycling that pace? That is way quicker than I thought. Dan, you go, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes.
I brought in a local to help me out with this one. 10 times world downhill champion, Nico Vouilloz. Both riders are dropping almost 1,000 metres off the top of the famous col into the Mediterranean town of Menton. Dan has the longer distance and slightly shallower gradient, however the road corners being of a higher speed and smoother surface compared to Nico's tight switchbacks, rock gardens and with relentless steps to navigate down the mountain.
So you never wheelied on an e-bike?
Well, a bit, but I never tried to do a real one. Like, look, it's... What?
You used to be my hero.
So I need to be focused. Ah, you beat me.
Yes. Yeah.
Despite a win in an unofficial wheelie competition, I wasn't feeling particularly confident against Nico going downhill. And for good reason. Nico is a 10-time downhill mountain bike world champion, a feat he'd achieved by the age of 26, at which point he retired, to begin a second career as a rally car driver. He's even raced down this exact descent in a car. So the odds aren't really in my favour.
So we have on the inside lane a former Tour de France machine, Dan Lloyd, and on the left-hand lane, 5 times World Cup downhill champion, Nico Vouilloz. Guys, how are you feeling?
Ready to kick her ass.
I'm not feeling particularly confident for some strange reason. I'm not a bad descender, but I'm not a 10-time world champion descender. But we're going to be on the road, aren't we, at the start?
Yeah.
That's my advantage because that thing's restricted to 25 kilometres per hour. And I'm going to be going, obviously, 60, 70 kilometres per hour.
Do not underestimate, this guy is an athlete. I know he's got super tacky tyres with low pressure, but what's your average speed going to be going down that road?
I don't know. I mean, obviously going to need to be careful because it might have vehicles on it.
Yeah.
I don't know, 50 k's an hour, I reckon.
I can imagine Nico is not going to be hanging around.
Good luck, man.
Good luck. Stay safe.
You too.
It's dangerous to descend. I'm not sure if you know it too well.
Okay, guys, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
Christ.
He's gone. Off the start and for the top quarter of the descent, Nico and Dan go head-to-head on the tarmac road for no particular reason in mind, just for the hell of it. High pressure, skinny road versus low pressure, sticky downhill tyres and considerable weight differences. Nico was in fighting mood. Now this is the Lapierre overvolt that Nico is racing Dan Lloyd on down the hill. It's a size medium and Nico is 1m76. Now the overvolt has got 180mm travel fork up front and 160mm travel on the rear. Wheel size 27.5, and as you can see he's got some Michelin 2.4 super tacky downhill tyres on this bike. Now in terms of the drivetrain, Nico's got a 5110 cassette on the back. It's a Shimano XTR derailleur and 160mm travel cranks. Now obviously a key part of this bike is the motor. So there's a Shimano E8000 motor in there with Lapierre's own custom snake tube technology battery, which is located just in the down tube there. It's an all aluminium chassis with carbon handlebars, 200mm discs there, Shimano XTR, 4 pots, and Nico is clipped in. Nico had pushed as hard as he could on his heavy bike, and on a road he had raced WRC cars on, struggled to keep lightweight Dan in his sights. And it was Dan who had pulled out an advantage by the time Nico hit the first off-road cut through. Time then for the man who won the first ever World Cup downhill race only a few miles from here to turn on the magic. Vouilloz was absolutely hauling, but still Dan held on to the slight advantage of split 2, but by split 3 there was nothing in it. Dan Lloyd's weapon of choice for his descent off the Col de la Madone is a Trek Imonda SLR. Now, this frame size is 58 and Dan is 6'2". So look at some of the details on this bike. First up, the gearing. On the rear is running 2811 cassette, and up front a 50-34 chainring combination. Full Durace Di2 gearing on the bike. In terms of the discs, he's running Durace discs on there with 160mm rotors. A few of the details, 140mm stem, and the wheel set is a Vision Metron SL40 with Continental tyres, pumped up to about 50 psi because of the varying road conditions on the descent.
And those varying road conditions became even more varied as rain began to fall on the lower slopes. Now, I don't like losing, but I also don't like crashing. And these corners are beginning to get very slippery.
At the penultimate split, Nico had reeled Lloyd in, but ahead of the Frenchman lay the tightest and most technical terrain of the hill. To keep this advantage, we required Lapierre man to engage full commitment race mode, precision riding, and reading a track which he had never ridden down before. Heads up riding at its best, Nico in full flow.
You speak French now?
Un petit peu.
It was a good battle.
It was good for you, I've lost. How long have you been here?
1.5 minutes.
Minutes. Glad you said minutes. That was so much fun at the top, and then
What?
you overtook me, and then it started raining. Not that I'm one to make excuses,
I
especially
knew the
against
rain.
you.
Yeah, I knew the rain will play for me with you.
I'm just so nervous on the roads when it starts to rain. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. How are the trails?
It was dry under the trees.
Yeah. I don't believe it. Long enough to have some chewing gum in your mouth.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did.
I had fun. Yeah.
Thanks again.
I like the challenge. It was good.
Yeah, I can see how competitive you are. I wish I'd have won that. I so wish I'd have won that. Anyway, we also did a climbing challenge against Steve on an e-mountain bike. If you'd like to watch that one, you can find it down here.